May 22, 2011. In just 38 minutes, a single tornado tore through the heart of Joplin, Missouri, destroying more than 7,500 homes, leveling schools, hospitals, and businesses, and killing 161 people. It remains one of the deadliest and most powerful tornadoes in U.S. history, a storm so violent its winds reached speeds of over 200 miles per hour. This is the story of that nightmare day, the day nature unleashed its full fury on an unsuspecting city. It began like any other spring Sunday in Joplin. Families went to church, graduation ceremonies were held, people gathered for dinner, laughing, smiling, living life as usual. But high above the city, nature was quietly gathering something unimaginable. The weather forecast had warned of storms, but nobody expected this. By late afternoon, the air was thick and heavy. Dark clouds began to roll in from the west, stretching across the sky like a bruise. At 5:17 p.m., the National Weather Service issued a tornado warning. Sirens wailed across the city, but to many it felt like another false alarm. Joplin had heard those sirens before. This time, though, they meant everything. High above the plains of southwest Missouri, warm, moist air from the Gulf met cold, dry air from the Rockies, creating the perfect recipe for a supercell storm. Within minutes, radar images showed a massive rotating system forming just west of town, and then it touched down. A wedge-shaped tornado, nearly a mile wide, slammed into the western edge of Joplin with unimaginable force. In seconds, homes were ripped from their foundations, cars were thrown hundreds of feet like toys, power lines snapped, trees were stripped bare, and the sky itself seemed to roar. The tornado moved eastward slow, deliberate, and merciless at just 20 miles per hour. That meant more time on the ground, more time for destruction. Inside a local Walmart, hundreds of people ran for cover as the roof began to cave in. One survivor later said, "It sounded like a freight train was coming straight through the building." Another recalled how the lights went out, then came the wind so strong it tore the doors off their hinges. At St. John's Regional Medical Center, nurses rushed patients into hallways and stairwells. As the tornado hit, the hospital's windows exploded and part of the roof was ripped away. Oxygen tanks burst into flames. Cars in the parking lot flipped and slammed into walls. Within seconds, the hospital, one of Joplin's largest, was barely standing. Across the city, families huddled in basements, bathrooms, and closets. Parents shielded their children as walls collapsed around them. In one heartbreaking story, a father used his own body to cover his son. When rescuers found them, the father was gone, but the boy survived. When the tornado finally lifted, it left behind a path of destruction more than 13 miles long and nearly a mile wide. Entire neighborhoods were gone. The landscape looked unrecognizable, as if a bomb had gone off. Police officers and first responders described it as a war zone. Street signs were gone, landmarks erased. People wandered the ruins, calling out names of loved ones. There were no sounds of traffic, no lights, just silence, broken only by sirens and cries for help. One firefighter later said, "You couldn't even tell where you were. Every direction looked the same, just piles of wood and debris." Night fell over Joplin, but rescue teams didn't stop. Under pouring rain and lightning, hundreds of volunteers began digging through the rubble with their bare hands. They pulled out survivors trapped beneath collapsed walls, cars, and roofs. In some cases, people were found alive after being buried for more than a day. Helicopters hovered overhead using infrared cameras to search for body heat. Hospitals across the region were overwhelmed. More than 1,000 people were injured. Doctors treated patients in parking lots, churches, and makeshift tents. The National Guard was deployed. Rescue dogs searched for survivors while power crews worked to restore electricity. But the scale of devastation was staggering, over $3 billion in damage. In less than an hour, Joplin had become one of the costliest natural disasters in American history. Yet, even in that darkness, hope shone through. Neighbors helped neighbors. Strangers risked their lives for others. One man drove back into the storm to rescue trapped residents. Churches opened their doors to the homeless, and within days, volunteers from all over the country began to arrive. The Joplin High School class of 2011, whose graduation had taken place just hours before the tornado, became a symbol of strength. They lost their school building that night, but not their spirit. Months later, they held classes in a converted department store. Their motto became, "We will rebuild." Meteorologists later classified the Joplin tornado as an EF5, the highest rating on the enhanced Fujita scale. That means wind speeds well above 200 miles per hour, strong enough to lift asphalt off roads and hurl steel beams through the air. It was one of only a few EF5 tornadoes ever to strike a densely populated area. Scientists say the storm formed under near-perfect conditions, extreme humidity, strong wind shear, and unstable air masses colliding in the atmosphere. But even they were stunned by how long it lasted and how powerful it became. After the storm, federal agencies launched an investigation. They found that while Joplin's warning system worked, many people delayed seeking shelter, a deadly habit caused by warning fatigue. Residents had heard sirens many times before, often for storms that never came close. That hesitation cost lives. As a result, the National Weather Service changed its alert system, making warnings more urgent and specific, and training meteorologists to use clearer language. Joplin's tragedy reshaped how the U.S. prepares for and responds to severe weather. In the months that followed, Joplin began to rebuild. One brick, one beam, one memory at a time. Thousands of volunteers, faith groups, and organizations helped clear debris and restore homes. By 2013, more than 90% of the city had been rebuilt. A new hospital rose where St. John's once stood, stronger and more advanced. Joplin High School reopened with a new design, a new symbol of hope. The scars remain, but so does the strength. Every year, the community gathers to honor the 161 lives lost and the thousands more who survived. Memorials line the city streets, quiet reminders of the day when nature tested the heart of Missouri and the people refused to break. The Joplin tornado remains a turning point in modern meteorology and disaster response. It taught scientists how fast storms can intensify and how communities must stay alert even when warnings seem routine. It showed the world how fragile life can be, but also how powerful unity is in the face of chaos. Today's storm shelters, advanced radar systems, and community alert networks all carry lessons from that day. Joplin's story isn't just about loss, it's about what it means to survive, rebuild, and never forget. On May 22, 2011, Joplin faced a nightmare that lasted less than an hour, but changed the city forever. From the wreckage arose stories of courage, compassion, and resilience. Because even when everything was gone, hope wasn't. The tornado may have torn through Joplin's streets, but it couldn't destroy the spirit of its people. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.